Hi, and thanks for joining me, and welcome to the Vintage Read Show's More to the Story, which is a series of interviews I'm doing. And my very first special guest is Taz from According to Taz, which is really exciting. Hi, Taz, how are you going?
Good morning, Shauna. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. This is so exciting. You're my very first guest for my interview series. So this is fantastic. I wanted to ask you about your Lady C interview because I've got to admit, I felt really sorry for you because I saw on X that you had a really sick doggy the night before.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, and I could just imagine the prep for that interview would have been enormous. But having a sick dog on top of that, I don't know how you did it. So how did you do that and stay sane?
Well, I think it helps to not be sane to begin with, personally. I think that often helps. I don't really know. You just push through it, don't you? I mean, she was really, Lady C was perfect. I told her when I got there. So she was, she is as wonderful as she comes across. There is no sort of airs and graces. She is just genuinely that lovely.
Right.
And of course, Aurora, as you saw, was all over me, one of her dogs.
Yes, that was hilarious. Yeah.
Adorable. You should have seen the amount of stuff I had to cut out of that
She
interview.
was literally hugging you from the
In love
back.
with me.
Which is good because that would have made Lady C trust you even more. I mean, we all know
Yeah.
that if our dogs, show affection to someone, we immediately trust them more, don't we?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyone that says they don't like dogs, I'm like, no.
No,
I think
no, if you're not a dog person, no. So was it morning
yeah.
or afternoon, the interview?
It was afternoon, which is another thing for me. I prefer mornings to get stuff done, but I got one of the later slots because she's been kind enough to let lots of different YouTubers interview her for this book.
Yes.
And
yeah.
mine was on the second day. I think she was holding interviews, and it was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I got my friend to come down from London just to help me.
Caleb, you were so lucky to have a Caleb in your life.
Yeah,
because is he a professional photographer or
No,
videographer?
he's
or
learning.
anything?
He's learning himself, like us, building up YouTube channels. He's actually, I would say, an amateur documentary filmmaker. He got very interested in it. He's on the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard court case.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay. He did a good job. It looked very professional.
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was great. Plus, he was my moral support as well. But there at one point,
Yeah, well,
he
you
was
need that.
restrained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
that, especially if you're really nervous. I mean, you just need that sort of touchstone to bring someone, back to down
Yeah,
to
just
earth
have
again.
someone to bounce off of. When I got in from the train station, I was like, right, these are some of my interview questions. I don't know if I'm going to sound stupid because I've never given an interview before, and I've never interviewed an author for a book, whereas someone like you'll have like questions buzzing around your brain straight away. So for me, it was obviously trying to read the book. So I only got given a copy of the book like several days beforehand, and I had to cram it in. And then with the dog being sick, you always get the worst. But
Your questions were brilliant. Your questions were absolutely brilliant. And I think what was special about yours was the fact that it was actually at Castle Goring.
Oh, it added
And that was just that added atmosphere. It was amazing. Tell me, is that room you were interviewing her in, is that the room she normally does her YouTube channel, or was that another room?
It's one of them. It's one of them.
Okay. All right.
It is one. I've recognised it from a few of her videos and stuff. But I think she depends. I think she's lady's the house, lady of the castle. She can move around to whichever room she likes, and she's got a few.
Yeah, and I loved your photos you put up of you, and especially the one that was on the staircase where you were looking very glam. That was wonderful. It was great because you let everyone see behind the scenes, and it was really great. It was fantastic.
It was just too beautiful a home not to. I mean, I love history anyway. I love going to castles and old manor houses and things. And it's always nice. I do try and show, whilst I talk about the royal family on my channel, I do try and share a large part of my life with people, anything from dog walking to weekends away to holidays. Yes. And I just could not share that with people. Look where I am, because I was literally walking around like a tourist in there going, wow, 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 every 2 seconds. Can I take pictures?
Oh, that's fantastic. So from sort of woe to go, when you turned up and you did the filming and then you had the tour, how long were you there for all up, do you think?
Oh, I think it was a couple of hours in total. The interview was about 45 minutes, but it took us a good 20 minutes to just get it set up, just to make sure
Yeah.
the lighting was okay. And at one point we dropped the phone, so that's why the camera
Oh,
angle
no.
changed towards the end of the interview. So yeah, it was all things like that. And then obviously contending with the attentions and the affections of beautiful Aurora as well. But it came with lots of quirks doing it, but it was so much fun. But
And
she
what
was
did you do afterwards with Caleb to celebrate? Just the sheer relief.
Well, to be honest with you, he lives all the way up past Euston. So I had to get him to the train station because by the time he got to
Oh,
Victoria and travelled all the way across, he wasn't going to get home till 10 o'clock at night. So,
oh, really? Wow. Big day. Big day. I
but
bet
yeah,
you slept that night.
yeah and no, believe it or not, because I was still so pumped. It was like adrenaline.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And did you feel that feeling after you got it and everything? Did you have sort of a nightmare? Oh no, have I got it? Like, do I
Yeah.
have the film? Do I
Oh,
have,
yeah.
all those sort
Oh,
of fears?
Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah, genuine fears. That's possibly why I didn't sleep for a further 2 nights, because also it was the first time, because we had two camera angles. We had a camera directed obviously at Lady C, and then a camera directed at me, like how we're talking to each other now, because I didn't want to just be sitting on the sofa facing her. I didn't feel that was quite
Yes.
right. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so of course you've got two lots of film to then edit and to splice them in together. So when I say something,
Right.
you then cut it into her video. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
that'd be
learning
hard.
curve.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you have experience with actual editing? Because you do such a good job with your editing. Do
All
you have
self-taught. All self-taught.
really all
Yep.
self-taught? And do you have any experience as far as being on camera or public speaking or acting or
No,
no?
no, no. Believe it or
Really?
not, believe it
Wow.
honestly, believe it or not, I'm actually quite a shy person. This is different because I'm in my living room. But when I used to work, because I worked in finance for 15 years, and when it used to come round to those monthly board meetings, it was like the worst feeling in the world because I suffer from anxiety as well. I can get panic attacks. And when you have to talk about the finance department and the figures, and just everyone, as soon as anyone looks at me in a room, if I've been at a wedding, if I'm at a friend's party, I'm like, oh, Taz, you can say something. I'm like,
Oh. So
so
you
very, very
very
different.
much you've got to be in your little sort of
Come and
ecosystem
see.
to feel to feel confident. Because you come
Yeah.
across as so confident. Isn't that funny? Isn't that
Yeah.
funny?
I think
Yeah.
shyness and anxiety, it shows it can affect a lot of people all the time, but you can pull it
Yes.
together when you're at work, or because I do see this as,
Yeah.
being at work and in the zone. But obviously when
Yeah.
I'm out with friends and family, obviously I'm super loud. I'm this, very, very chatty with them. But outside of my own little bubble safety net, I can be quite
Yeah.
quiet. But I'm sure my husband would heavily disagree with that.
Well, that's really interesting because I wanted to ask you, how did YouTube come about? Like, was it and was it initially the royal family with your channel? Because I'm only familiar with sort of the last few years of your channel. But when it first started, was it always the same according to Taz?
Yep, yep. So I went on Twitter, and I had a Twitter account since something like 2009 when it first got created, but I'd never used it.
Right.
Anyway, when all of this news started coming out to do with the royal family, with Prince William, with the wedding, we'll start with the wedding. That's when I really started getting into it because I'm the same age as Catherine and William. I've grown up with them. I have posters of them on my wall, William, obviously. And yeah, I've passed various kind of milestones with them being part of my life. So I do have a keen interest in them. And then the royal wedding, that was it. I was sucked in after that. I mean, I loved it. And I've been watching them have children. So massive royalist, and started learning more about the history and just generally being interested in them. And then, of course, when Meghan came on the scene, this is where there was a real turning point with royal news. Because
Yes.
I think people were incredibly fascinated with Meghan. I don't care what anyone says. She was really well liked when she came on the scene. I was actually a fan, believe it or not, of
So
Meghan.
was I. So was I.
I was.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
My train of thought was I never saw Prince Harry settling down with someone, and this isn't obviously comparing to Catherine or his former girlfriends, but someone that would be very blue blood, high society. I couldn't see him settling with someone like that. He was very much like his uncle, Prince Andrew, where Andrew was a party boy, he was a playboy, and he married Fergie, who equally was a party girl. They were very well suited. And when I saw Harry dating not even a famous Hollywood actress or a well-known actress at all, but she was an actress. Not many people had heard of her. And she turned up to that event in ripped jeans and a shirt. And I thought, well, possibly a bit too casual, but I liked that whole down-to-earth thing. And I mean, it didn't even cross my mind, the fact that she was biracial, to be honest with you, as many people. I thought that she was Latina or Italian, you know.
So did I. I thought she was Spanish.
It was never a thing. The whole race thing surrounded Meghan only started after the whole Oprah incident. But she was really, really well liked when she came on the scene, and I thought she and Harry were very well suited. But of course, when the stories then started coming out with Harry falling out with his friends, she was cutting him away from his family. That's when I started getting more vocal, because I was like, red flags. I've been in a relationship like that. And people were talking about it more on Twitter, going, well, maybe she's not that nice. And then you had other people straight away that were like, no, she's wonderful. It must be Catherine and William that are horrible. And this is where the whole Twitter sphere took off. And you had the royal division on Twitter. And I was one of them, because I was like, you've got Catherine and William that have been lovely for all these years. Even Harry was really well liked. Then you've got a one-woman wrecking ball that's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
The more vocal I got on Twitter, the more people said, oh, you should start up a YouTube account. And with encouragement from another YouTuber, Murky Meg, she helped me get set up.
Did she? I didn't know that.
She did.
That's
she helped me
amazing.
behind the scenes. She helped me behind the scenes. She got me set up.
That's amazing.
And it just took off. It was only something. I was just doing part-time. I was still working in finance. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, from 100 subscribers to now I think I've got 180,000. It's really grown over the last 4 years. So yes,
was it very big? Sorry to interrupt. Was it a big decision to go full time with it?
Yes, it was a hell of a gamble. But to be honest with you, what with COVID and with lockdown and the pandemic, I didn't have too much of a choice. I had started up a wedding photography business, smack bang,
really?
6 months before the pandemic hit. Now, because I'd gone self-employed, as the UK government rules were, I had only been self-employed for 6 months. I was not entitled to...
You didn't qualify for anything. Oh, no, that's just... But in a way, it was really good.
Yes, in a way.
Look where you are now.
Sink or swim.
Even though it would have been just really horrible at the time and really stressful. But, look how it's worked out. It's amazing. That's great. It's so funny what you said about your sort of attitude towards Meghan when she first walked into the Invictus Games and everything, because I had that same reaction to her. I was quite hopeful. And I think the turning point for me was the Oprah Winfrey interview. That was the real turning point.
I was long before then. For me, when it was when the stories first started coming out that I was like, doesn't seem right, because Harry, you could see that he was cutting off his friends and he was scowling all the time at the cameras, and he started becoming not particularly friendly towards people. And all of these stories were just being drip fed to the media. And I thought there's something not right here. But the engagement interview, that was a real turning point, because at that moment.
No, yes, you're right. Yeah, that was a turning point. Yeah. Well, you couldn't watch that and not be worried. Especially that look when he said about how, we're going to be a member of a great team and all that. I'm paraphrasing. But, and she gave him that death look right at that point. And I think that's when everyone went, ooh.
It was when he was talking about the ring, how much love he'd put into that ring. And it was 2 of his mother's diamonds, and he'd sourced it from Botswana. And you saw her kind of looking at it, and you could tell. She honestly, watch that clip back. She was really like looking at it like, but it's just so tiny. But
You've
funny.
got the Meghan look. You've got the Meghan look.
But it's so funny because a newspaper story came out this morning. Sorry, Shauna.
No, go on. It's hard because there's a bit of a delay. Yeah.
I think with the ring, I think she's had it remodeled again, because she wasn't wearing it for some time. She's already had it changed once with a pave of diamonds put around it, and she's had it. It looks like she's got a bigger diamond on it again.
Oh,
so
no.
as I said, from that interview of her going, It's so tiny. I'm gonna work on this. She certainly had some work done on it, but
Oh, again, I mean, imagine, do you think he realised during that engagement interview that there was something a little amiss? Do you
no,
think?
no,
No,
no.
he's still
No,
just totally over the
puppy
moon and in
love. He was
love.
gone. He was in. Yeah,
Yeah,
he dove
yeah.
straight into that one. No, he was gone. No.
Now, on your latest video, which I encourage everybody to go and watch because it is really good and it's so juicy, but Taz said, just at the sort of near the end of the video, about the fact that she believes that they're renting their house in Melodrama Cito, and you also said something else really juicy as well, that you don't think they're actually together anymore. So spill.
Okay. So the house, there was just too much with the house where this house was available to rent for music videos. That house has been available. It was on a website called Gigster, and you could rent the house for, so many hundreds or thousands of dollars a day. It even had in the clause, please no porn videos. So you've got to, seriously, but you've got to think of the number of people that would have gone in and out of this property, not only have gone in and out of it, that have got documented footage of every door, every window, every entrance, every exit. You could not move into a more unsecure property. It's available on the internet. Anyone can Google inside Harry and Meghan's house, and every single room is in there. Outside, inside, aerial views, the gardens. I never believed that they would move into that property, because if Harry, well, even any sensible person, would you? I mean,
No,
we're not famous.
no,
I don't think
no.
I want to live in a property, especially someone as high risk, and he has to think of his family. So I
Yes,
think that they've
exactly.
always used it as a studio. They've only used a couple of rooms on a regular basis for their videos. And when you look at some of the photographs on Gigster, the original photographs, a lot of the decorating hasn't changed. As I said in yesterday's video, the pots and pans are still there. What people don't
Yes.
take anything that they live in the house with. They haven't changed anything. Even Meghan's new cooking video, that is the exact same kitchen that is in those older pictures from like 5-6 years ago. This is a woman that spent 2.4 million of taxpayers' money to renovate Frogmore Cottage to her highest standards, but she's left everything in that house the same.
Yes, I thought that was your most compelling point when you showed that photo, because Taz does this great thing where she shows a sort of little clip from the docuseries, and then she points out the fact that, yes, the kitchen hasn't changed. I never picked that up. That was amazing. And it's even the same chairs and everything at that table, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they who wouldn't change it? I mean,
exactly.
it just doesn't make sense. You're right. Well, that's really, I mean, that's a real coup. You've really sort of cottoned onto something there.
I think quite a few people have been suspicious of it some time. But yeah, I mean, even as I said in one of the photographs, Harry's sitting at his desk, and the same pot plant is in one of the older photographs of the property. And it's like, I just can't see how people moved out pots, pans, plants, and they've just left it all there. So yeah, I'm 100% certain that they used it as a decoy, which would make sense from a security point of view. Who's paying them? You would want your family.
Actually, that's smart, really, isn't it? So, but Taz, where are they living?
I do think living. Well, I do think they're definitely in California, but I think there's going to be two addresses. I think Harry's been caught staying at hotels too often. Meghan has as well, where they've taken photographs of Meghan in the car park. They say she's doing business deals, but they're never together. They're never photographed anywhere out on family days out. And I know the rules with America that a lot of celebrities, if they are out in a public space, paparazzi can take pictures of them, but generally they will pixelate the children's faces. So obviously it still gives them privacy, and then the parents can't sue. But there's none of that, from anywhere, from pumpkin patches to Christmas tree hunting. There's not even pixelated pictures. The only times that we've seen them out in Montecito has been the July 4th parade, and I think that is quite questionable. So I don't think that they are all living together. I do think that Harry and Meghan come together for business ventures more than anything.
Yes, well, they would really have to, because it would totally kill the brand if they broke up, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, completely kill the brand.
Yeah.
You've only just got to look when there are any sort of events or engagements. I say engagement, that's royal engagement. When they're at any sort of publicity event, whatever PR stunt that they're doing,
Yeah.
When they've got the cameras on them, they are very theatrical with, look, we love each other so much, and the kissing and the holding of the hands and everything. It's very much how they were in the royal family. But I do think that was a lot more genuine back then, because now when the cameras stop rolling or they don't think people are taking pictures of them, the body language is arms crossed, they're looking the other way from each other, generally sneering. I'm sorry, that's not a happy, loved up couple as far as
No, it doesn't look very natural. Do you buy into the thing with the Omid Scobie book that the hotel room was used as sort of a meet-up place to transfer papers and things to Omid Scobie? You know how all those rumours were swirling around?
Oh, when she was caught in... I say caught, but when she deliberately allowed herself to be photographed in the car park for selfies.
Yeah. Do you think there was any connection with that book, or do you think she wouldn't risk it? Or
no, absolutely. Yeah. It was the perfect way to do it. The fact that the only slip up that Omid did, the only version of that copy went to the country with the smallest output of that book. So when the book got pulled, it wasn't damaging to the book sales or to him, which, to be fair,
yes, that was rather obvious, wasn't it?
Why not obvious. A bigger country? It only went to that one particular country with the smallest output, a number of books, and that's when it got leaked. No, I believe she wanted it to be leaked, and I believe that Harry supports it to been leaked, because they could have put out a statement to shut down those rumours at any given time, and they have both remained completely silent. Meghan got a statement put out the other day to do with her jam and about the fact that it's organic and she handpicks the strawberries herself from her garden. She got a source to go to the Mail to tell them that, and the King's Highgrove estate apparently imports their stuff. So they can put out a ridiculous statement like that to correct whichever narrative that they feel they need to. But the fact that his father and Catherine, Princess of Wales, has been accused of racism, not a single word. Yes. I believe that they have worked with Omid Scobie. They obviously, as we know they did, because they both had to admit that they lied in court to a judge over finding freedom. So
exactly.
Yes,
yeah, they have form. Yeah, they definitely have form. And that ties us in nicely to the announcement today about the new PR that's going to be happening in LA and also the UK guy. And evidently he used to do the PR for Haribo or and Instagram and I saw a really funny interview today where this lady, a journalist, said that he's going to be eaten alive. She thinks that he'll only last about 6 months because the tabloid media in the UK will literally devour this guy because he doesn't have any experience.
It's not just that, they've got a revolving door of staff. I've never known any company to go through as many members of staff as they do. And it's really funny because at the time that they've now announced, they always announce it like it's a positive. We've got 2 new members of staff. Well, that's probably because 5 members of staff have just walked out that revolving door. They're trying, they always have to announce it, but they keep the ones when they leave pretty quiet. But there's no way that they can be good employers.
They're holding them to those NDAs, aren't they? There's been a bit in the news about Samantha Cohen actually admitting that she was interviewed about the bullying or the alleged bullying and that the palace did conduct an investigation. What do you think about that? Do you think it's significant at all?
Oh, I definitely think it is significant. She has just now proved that there was, in fact, a thorough investigation conducted, that she was interviewed, but she also spilled in that interview the fact that she had to stay in that job. She wanted to quit and she couldn't leave until they found a replacement. Nobody wanted the job. And then when they eventually found someone, obviously outsourced, who'd not heard of how bad Harry and Meghan were to work for, they quit in the middle of the tour in Africa when Harry and Meghan were busy using South Africa and those countries as a backdrop to their pity story, getting ready for the Megxit.
Yes, and you've got to thrive, not survive. When they were out there.
It makes you think, awful. Could she really be treating people? But even Harry confirmed that they didn't treat their staff nicely in Spare because he said it. That, yes, the staff were slumped over their desks and crying. They couldn't handle criticism. It's not Meghan's fault if they can't handle it. And that's the sort of attitude. So he's just confirmed that his wife, in fact, is a monster boss.
Yes, and I couldn't believe that, like you said, that new aide that was supposed to replace Samantha Cohen left mid-tour. I mean, you would think that you'd just hang on to the end of the tour, but no, it was that bad.
Yeah.
And how hypocritical that she's saying that you need to thrive, not survive.
Oh, and she's a feminist and she's all empowering women. She's empowering women by stamping on them.
Yes.
And it always does seem to be women. Perhaps that's why they've employed 2 new male members of staff who, again, I have got to say, they don't really have a diversity at Archwell, do they, considering?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Again, it just seems to be white employees. And I find that, again, for something that Meghan preaches about all of the time, it's certainly becoming quite noticeable. Male, pale and stale, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And not allowing middle-aged white men to comment on her interview with Oprah Winfrey. That was a big, major statement they made.
Yeah, exactly.
But look who they're employing. You make a great point.
Exactly.
And also the way she treated the chairman of Centre Bali. I mean...
the
really disrespectful.
That was shocking. I say it's shocking because I'm not surprised because I've watched this for a number of years. You've watched her behaviour. People always seem to think that we formulate our opinions and dislike of Meghan or call out her bad behaviour because of something the media has written. No, it's because of the video footage that we've watched. It's because of the interviews that she has given. It's because of the articles that she has written. It's her writing, her mouth, her actions, her body language. That's what people call her out on. And that was really, really embarrassing for her. It backfired for her. It's like she cannot manage to behave when she goes to polo. When she went to that one in Santa Barbara, she struggled. She wouldn't let go of the trophy and then they ended up with it almost on her head. And then she tried to grab some of the other bits that were being handed to the other polo players. And you can tell they were just like, why are you on stage? That big old sloppy red kiss on Harry's face and she's rubbing him like she's a grandmother. Surprised she can get out a handkerchief. And then this, I don't know, with I think it was Dr. Sophie, she I don't know what Meghan was thinking. People said that she wanted her to move to the middle, to the centre, and they've used a photograph where it was the big photograph. But that wasn't that moment in time. That was a later photograph because not long after she'd ordered or barked at her to get next to her and away from Harry, Meghan's still hanging onto the trophy and she turns her shoulders. So Sophie's now... She really was body blocking.
She was. It was just so blatant. And obviously, Dr. Sophie wanted to have a moment with Harry because it was supposed to be all about Centre Bali. Yeah. That's another thing I want to ask you about is, do you remember back in the Cut interview with Meghan and she was saying how she found her diary in the sock drawer and she's got a lot to say until she's got no more to say. She's, it was so blatantly sort of a threat.
A threat. It was a threat.
And we know from a lot of publications now that she actually held the Oprah Winfrey interview over the royal family's head for quite a period of time. Sort of like, give us what we want as far as the exit agreement and all that sort of thing. So do you think she wasn't called out enough on that seemingly sort of blackmail? Do you think she got away with too much? She was given too much of a free rein.
I do think so. I think that the royal family had to, because, well, I say had to, it's this whole never explain, never complain. And I think it works for them because the more that Harry and Meghan kicked up a stink and the more that they threw accusations, the more that they kind of poked the bear, they wanted the fight, the more that Catherine, William, the King, Camilla held their heads high and ignored it, the more classy they looked, the more respect that the public had for them because they weren't being drawn into this petty tit for tat or this. It's a tacky sort of celebrity war that wouldn't be out of place with the Kardashian sisters warring.
Yes, great point.
And I do think that the royal family have handled them brilliantly because it is cutting off that oxygen. I do think things like that, Meghan and Harry will continue to make digs because they're trying to antagonise them. They need a reaction out of the royal family so they then can play victims and then get some more TV interviews or content for books. The longer the royal family continuously ignore them or kill them with kindness, they have got nothing that the public is going to believe. that they are somehow still these perpetual victims, because we can see Catherine and William have never once said anything bad about Harry and Meghan in the last few years.
No, that's exactly
what they have done.
Yeah.
You know, even Charles, he has not said anything derogatory about his son, despite the attacks. He just turned around and said, keys to Frogmore, not yours anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's well played. It's well played.
Yes, I guess that's right. They sort of have asserted themselves, but they haven't reacted in a sort of tacky way. So they're in the control. So they seem to be up here and Harry and Meghan seem to be down here. Yeah.
Because they're throwing more and more tantrums, like a teenager, like a parent, I would say, telling off a teenager, or rather not telling them off, just completely ignoring them. It's that whole thing. If you want to get on with it then. And then they're like, I've got nowhere to put my rage. And that's what we see with Harry and Meghan. And that's why I would say that Queen Elizabeth handled it well. She gave them enough rope. And they really have been the masters of their own demise, and they will continue to do so. And as for, it's funny you brought up that book, so I was thinking about with Omid Scobie, with Endgame, putting the names in, and then Meghan threatening. I believe that Meghan is going to do her own book one day. I think she might wait until maybe she is getting divorced, dare I say. But I do believe that's why Omid used this time for Endgame to release those names, because now that he's said it, Meghan can't get in trouble for her putting it in the book, because the names are out there. So now she can talk about what happened, her version of the truth, and she can mention Catherine and the King because they've already had their names put out there courtesy of her mouthpiece.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it might be a divorce book, because I think that will be her bargaining chip. You know, she can sort of hold that over Harry's head, because imagine how much she's got on him. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. Imagine how much money she's going to make from that when she does do that. Look, people say that they don't like her, but people are still fascinated with her. People do want to watch what Meghan's up to. I take Meghan and Harry in a more comedy aspect. I don't hate them or anything, but I find everything they do almost entertainment at this point. They, you know, just laugh at them because it's one desperate attempt after another. There's no point being angry at them. They show themselves up time and time again.
Yeah, and there's so much delicious material there.
Absolutely. But saying that, Meghan, if she does divorce him, everybody's going to want the gossip. Even if they know that she's lying, they're going to want to know Harry's reaction. Those two will be War of the Roses. I mean, they will absolutely destroy each other if that ever happens.
For sure.
You know, it will just, but she will become an incredibly, incredibly rich woman from, no doubt, Oprah interviews. Everyone would want her, wouldn't they? Everybody would want the gossip from that.
When the gloves are completely off, it'll be juicy.
She's definitely got that up her sleeve. Definitely.
And I don't really think it's going to damage the royal family. It's just Harry. Really. No. I think at this point, I don't think she could say anything more about the royal family that anyone would be overly interested in. You know, it's sort of like, we've heard it all, you've done your best, you know.
They can't damage the royals. They can't damage the royals anymore. They've got nothing left. Most of the things they tried to prove to be lies, the few things that we couldn't prove that were lies, is more of a petty, childish case of he said, she said. I mean, these are grown adults. No one cares. We've got lives. We've got everyday things we get on with. I don't care that Prince Harry got pushed into a dog bowl, okay? I don't care that his little plastic necklace got broke. It doesn't affect my life in any way. But for a grown man, a father of two, to be sitting on, there was that Stephen Colbert stage, and to be saying, look, this is where my necklace was broken. You just think,
I know, wasn't that pathetic? Yeah, it was
man
just
up,
insane.
dude, man up.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Now, I've got to ask you about when Catherine did her video on the bench for the cancer diagnosis and all that awful sort of furor before that, all the pile-on her. Did you get upset by that? Did it affect you?
The pile-on that she received, massively. No one deserves that, not even, you know, Meghan. If roles had been reversed, I do not understand people's condemnation of Catherine. I mean, it all started with that Mother's Day photograph, the fact that she wasn't seen, despite the fact that everyone knew she was recovering from what was quite clearly major surgery. It was just a continuous build-up. They used her absence, then they used the Mother's Day photo, and then the fact that Prince William wasn't on the bench, he should be on the bench. And then it was just awful. So I was very upset to see it, and also the media proved that despite them changing the rules, as they say, they have proved that they are actually no different to when they were with the coverage that Princess Diana received. In some ways, I would say that Catherine has actually had it worse in some respects, because now you have got social media, you have got the Sussex Squad, you have got, I don't even know why we keep calling them that, really. They're just a bunch of trolls, but they are very much targeted. Their campaigns against anyone that speaks out against Harry and Meghan, that doesn't worship them, from YouTubers to podcasters to celebrities to members of the royal family. I really think some of their behaviour is truly criminal. But to see that directed towards Catherine, who hasn't put a foot out of place. What has she ever done that's wrong? Once she didn't have the hem in right with enough weights in, and a gust of wind showed a bit too much thigh? Heaven forbid, you know? She's
been exemplary. I mean, she's never put a foot wrong, really, has she? And
she's
one thing that amazes me, and she's always so professional. I mean, obviously, particularly leading up to, I mean, she was obviously ill before Christmas and no one knew, but she never showed anything, did she? She just carries on. She's so brave. Yeah, she's just amazing. You did bring up about the Sussex Squad, so I do want to ask you, because I know that you have had your own trials with trolls, and I know that you've had a really hard time. And are you able to tell me a little bit about that, just what you're comfortable with?
Well, obviously you've seen what it's like on Twitter. You get people saying nasty things about you. That's something that I could deal with. It was harsh when I first started YouTubing, and I think anyone who wants to build up a personality, you've got a friend, or if you've got teenagers or children that are thinking about, I really want to become a social media personality, the trolls, there are professional trolls out there. They will do absolutely everything to say the sickest and cruelest things. And you have to get thick skin. It's not something that just came naturally to me. It took a lot of tears, a lot of tantrums, a lot of times where I thought I was going to quit. But it does take a very unnecessary turn when it comes to the Sussex Squad. I have had death threats. I've had the police called to my home. I've had the police called to my home a couple of times. One time they came to my home and they rang me, and I was actually in Spain, and they said that they had reports of, I can't remember what it was. It was reports of a knife. So they were obviously trying to there was a domestic abuse and thing with a knife, and they were obviously trying to do something so dramatic the police would kick down my front door, which is called swatting in America, which you often see people can get shot by the police. But we don't have that quite same aggression or guns, thankfully. So that was interesting. But I remember saying to the police officer, "Did you hear that weird dial tone before I picked up the phone? That's because I'm out of the country, so no." So now I've had so many prank calls put in, we've actually got a marker with the police on our address. So it's things like that which are upsetting, that people take it so extreme and so far. So the Sussex Squad are something that I think is absolutely terrifying, that you have got groups of people. The Sussex Squad are just one particular unit that attack royal fans, but you've got lots of different celebrities that have got their own scary fan base. And it is terrifying how much people are now allowed to get away with, I think.
Have you ever had any sort of threats from Harry and Meghan themselves? Have you ever received any sort of notices to take down a video or, anything like that?
No,
that's good.
Not at all. I don't think they've done that to any YouTubers, to be fair, even the ones that put out the wild conspiracy theories, which, as you know, Shauna, stay away from. I can't see how they can. I couldn't imagine
they could with your content because there would be nothing to attack.
That's it. I mean, as long as you are, a lot of people are just giving their opinions on what they think. So what they're going to do, get the police on people for having their opinions now? I mean, it's something that would open a minefield, and I just don't think Harry and Meghan would ever do that. Plus, I'm not saying anything wrong. So no, I don't expect I will ever hear from them, but fingers crossed, you never know.
You seem to have a really great depth of knowledge with your history with the royal family. I'm really impressed when I watch your videos. And also I'm really impressed with something that I struggle with, is actually pronouncing names. A lot of them, you just nail it. And, how much research and effort, how many hours do you put into each video? Because they seem to be so well researched.
Okay, so on average, say I do a 20-minute video, I've probably filmed for about 35, 40 minutes. So I cut that down. It's where I make mistakes or I say things wrong. Then I have to stop because I said the name wrong about 5 times and I'm just sitting there going, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things like that. So there is editing where you have to cut that out. But I suppose from researching, from looking up the articles, from learning how to pronounce the names, I use Google pronunciation a lot.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't always get it right. Because the problem is with, well, not the problem, but with the royal family, because they deal with so many different people, so many different countries around the world. It's not just how you say it, but you've got different dialects, different accents and things. So I never quite get it right. I do have people sometimes in the comments saying, you said that wrong. It's like, I tried my best. I tried my best.
Yeah, exactly. They're very quick to correct, aren't they?
But yeah, a 20-minute video will take me on average about, I would say, anywhere from 1 to 2 days. I do from getting up in the morning, from filming, obviously putting on my face, my war paint, and then getting the film edited. Probably I will work until 11 o'clock at night. So
I know.
Yeah,
and so
it's a lot of effort, but
it is, but it's very rewarding. But what would be your favourite part? Is it the on-camera stuff, the editing stuff, or the research? What's your favourite part?
My favourite part is, in all honesty, it's when I've posted the video and then I read people's comments and I chat to people, as many people as I can. I try to spend an hour after I've posted each video, as long as it's not like midnight and then I'm like, sleep. But I'll talk to people the next day. But it's actually talking to people, because that is what encouraged me to become a YouTuber. That is the fun part for me. That's the bit where you're listening to people, not people just going, oh, well done, I love the video. It's not narcissistic. It's hearing, oh, that was funny. Oh, you missed this bit out. Or what do you think about this? And these are people from all around the world. And it's just, that's what made me start doing it, because I like talking to people and I like hearing different people's viewpoints and opinions. So I'm just basically putting out my thoughts out into the world. And then you're meeting all these like-minded people. So that is my favourite bit.
And isn't it amazing how much you get from the comments? And I mean, there's always a lot of humour and everything, but also I find out some really good tips out of the comments, and you'll be flying off and looking it up. And
definitely.
It's great.
I mean, I've had people direct me to other YouTubers, because I don't tend to watch other YouTubers, just because it's that whole thing of, would you eat chocolate if you worked in a chocolate factory? And also it depends on the storyline, because we're all basically producing content about the royal family. If I sat there and watched someone else's, then that's not my viewpoint anymore. That's not my opinion.
Yeah, and I get really worried. I don't watch other content either. I did watch yours because I knew I was going to get to interview you today. But I get worried that I'll come out with something that's not mine. You know, that I'll come out with a phrase or something that's obvious that I've heard it from somewhere else. And you want to sort of stay original, don't you?
Yeah, it's about staying original and not obviously taking other people's content. But it's very hard with talking about the royal family, because everybody's covering the same thing. So you do have a lot of that where people do videos of the same stuff, but then it's down to people's individual personalities.
Yes, and, the angle of it all.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, have you ever sort of been negatively impacted enough by, you know, sort of the Sussex Squad and comments and things like that, where you really seriously, if not quit, but needed to take a break for a while? Have you taken a break at any point?
Yes. I really struggled a couple of years ago. This is when Christopher Boozy had come on the scene, and I'd also fallen out with another YouTuber. And the whole thing, the combination of it, because I was getting targeted and harassed from everybody, from Boozy, from the trolls, from other people, and it just got too much from the moment I logged onto the internet. And as I said, social media is a tough place for your mental health anyway. You've got to have skin as thick as a rhino. It got to the point where I wasn't sleeping. I started having panic attacks again, and my husband was so worried about me. I started losing weight. And I went on holiday, and I didn't think when I came back from holiday with my husband I was going to continue. I'd had enough. But luckily, the 2 weeks that I'd had a conversation with my husband when I was out there, and he gave me some harsh truth. And I'll tell it to you because it's the thing that has made me keep going and why I've never let anyone tear me down to that level ever again, and I don't think I will. he said to me that it's my fault that I'm letting what they're saying affect me, because I'm giving what they're saying, just words, power. He says, you are doing this to yourself because you're letting them. And at the time I was like, I was
You wanted
mad.
sympathy.
I was like crying my eyes out, and I was really hysterical, proper girl cry. And I was like, you're meant to be making me feel better, not worse. And then it sunk in, and he was right. I was giving them power. Every time I listened to them or I let them upset me, I was basically bullying myself because I was allowing those people to do it to me. And ever since then, it was the best piece of advice he gave me. And it was very true. So, yes, there has been a time when I have definitely wanted to quit. But luckily, due to some tough love from my husband, several years later, I'm still going strong.
Well, he sounds absolutely perfect. I mean, how supportive is that? Yeah, because I suppose it would be easier for him to say sometimes, oh, yeah, okay, just quit,
Coddle me. Coddle me. I want to be coddled.
I want more attention.
He's been my strength. He is truly amazing, because he gets trolled as well. He's not on social media, but you've got people that set up fake accounts pretending to be my husband, that use pictures that I've posted on YouTube and Twitter. They use photographs of us and they're pretending to be him, but they go around bullying lots of other people. They've posted pictures of our front door, our home address, and all sorts of things, to the point my husband's employers got contacted once, but they know that it's all bull, but he doesn't care. He's just like, so what? If someone ever comes to my our house or anything like that, it'd be the last thing they you know what I mean? But it's
you need someone like that. You need someone like that. Yeah,
he is. He's great. He supports me through it. He doesn't care a single thing about the royal family. If I try and talk to him about anything to do with the news, he just glazes over. You can hear the old flat line in the background. He does not care. People ask him sometimes, because they know, sometimes the wives of the guys he works with, they ask him stuff, and he's like, I haven't got a clue, don't know. I mean, he walked in a few weeks ago and he was like, who's Prince Louis?
You're like, what? Sacrilege.
Yeah, he was like, I thought they had two kids. He did manage to name George and Charlotte, but I was like,
oh well, that's a start. That's a start.
You're getting better.
I think it was, you went to Cambridge for a special trip. Was it for your wedding anniversary or something? Was it? And yes, you went on the punt. Was that Cambridge? Yes. I'm not stalking you on social media. I just love seeing all that, and your lovely story about the hat and you spying the hat shop and all that sort of thing. Because you see, you're actually living my dream life. Because I've never been to the UK, and I would just love to go to the UK one day. One thing I've got to ask you now: have you ever been to Buckingham Palace when there's the huge crowds and all that? Have you ever been one of the people?
I've been outside when I was a kid, though. I haven't been as an adult. So this year, I know it's crazy. I've been in Windsor. Windsor was amazing. Windsor Castle.
Oh, was it?
I'd pay for that tour again. That was so good.
Really? Tell us more about that.
Well, Windsor, it's just fascinating. I mean, the rooms, the architecture, the painting, the artwork, but it was one room, and it's all of the gifts that have been collected or given to the royal family for hundreds of years. And they've got all the different areas. You've got Asia, you've got Africa, it's just mind blowing. Me and my husband probably spent an hour in that room just going round and round and round. Wow. It was just incredible.
Did you see a ghost?
No ghost. I wouldn't want to stay there at night.
No, true, yeah.
But it was really surreal as well, because when you see the big photographs done, the professional photographs of the royal family, and they're in these rooms, and we're walking through, and I'm like, oh, I recognise this room. This is where Catherine was playing on the piano. It's just.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And I'm looking forward to Buckingham Palace this year. We're going to do Buckingham, and I'm going to do Kensington as well. I think I might do. We're toying with the idea of doing a 2-day weekend in London and just hitting them.
You're going to have to film it, but I suppose it's a break for you. It's a break for you, is it?
Well, I do like taking pictures for our own personal album anyway, so I will definitely do it. But again, that's why I like doing it as well, because I know so many people that watch my channel are in different countries, and I get to show them a little bit of this beautiful country, and especially Sussex as well, because some people just associate Sussex now with the Duke and Duchess of Montecito. But
so you've got to show the good side.
This is the good side. This is the bit, you know, one of the most beautiful counties. I love sharing stuff like that. It's I see people as well that I've spoken to for all of these years, and new people. That's why I said my favourite bit is talking in the comments. I see these people as online friends. You know, I've got several people that email me, and I've got people that send me pictures of their bees and their beehives because they know that I'm bee mad. And it just builds up a nice little community where you know lots of people. So, yeah, if I can share a little bit, and the wonderful weekend.
Do you have bees? Do you have bees? Are you a beekeeper?
It's next house. I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, we live in far too small a garden and house.
Right.
But, I've been obsessed with bees for years. Like, you'll see everything.
Yes.
And so bees everywhere.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
I'll tell you something funny, actually. The Sussex Squad, they always say the most vile things about me, but there's one nickname that's going around at the moment that I think is absolutely hilarious. They've started calling me TAZ. You heard of Timu? It's like, because all the Chinese... and I really found that hilarious. My husband was like, well, they've got a point. But the thing is, everything that I've got behind me, though, especially all of the bee stuff, these are either presents that people have bought me, which I love because they remind me of friends and family members. But the other thing is as well, this is where we've bought stuff where we get to travel around the world. And I'm pretty sure that some of these people that are insulting me on a regular basis don't even have a passport. But I do like Timu Taz. I thought, that's actually quite catchy. I'll go with that. I'll go with it.
I think you'd go with anything. I think you've got such a beautiful personality, and I don't think anything would dampen it down. I've got one more question to ask you, and that was, how did you spend Coronation Day? What did you do?
I had a really cool Coronation Day. I met with someone I just made friends with on social media, and her name was Amber, and she invited me because my husband, again, not into the royal family. I wasn't going to get him to go anywhere, you know. It just wouldn't interest him, and I thought I want to spend it with people that are interested. So my friend Amber invited me to her mum's house, and she's got this incredible, beautiful home. And they had a full coronation party, Union Jacks absolutely everywhere. It was absolutely amazing. So I had a really lovely time. And it got me out of my box as well, because I was really nervous, because I don't tend to meet up with people I've met on social media. But we're now really good friends, and we hung out in London at Christmas. We went up, saw the Christmas lights.
Lovely.
So that's how I spent the coronation. But it was.
Did you get all dressed up? Did you have an outfit and everything?
I did have an outfit. I had one of those 1950s style peplum dresses that pop out. It had red roses. It was navy blue with red roses and a big petticoat underneath.
That's fun. That's really great. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me, Taz. I really appreciate it. I could just talk to you on and on and on. It's just been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a delight. It's my first ever interview, so I'm glad I didn't
same. Well, I think we're both quite good at chatting.
Yes, I think so. I think we might have to do this again at some point.
I think that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everything.
No, thank you too, Shauna. See you again.
See you, Taz. Bye.